Hi, folks. Pastor Mike Spalding here with my good friend and big brother.
I'm Pastor Casper, and we're here together to encourage you to keep listening to Deception Detection Radio, because we're both on this network with our individual shows.
Yes,
and
yes.
we're going to be doing some things together as well. Nudge, nudge, say no more.
Hey, folks, tune in Deception Detection Radio. Some of the best programming in Christian talk, news, encouragement, and Bible studies. God bless you.
God bless.
Walking alone, the streets are empty. The only thing I can see is my own silhouette. I'm getting stronger, step by step. The clock is ticking, but there's no time for me. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe, trying to protect your soul. We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the
Welcome to Shield of the Sun with Michael Herr.
Hello there. Welcome to our Shield of the Sun video. In this video, we're going to be talking about this interesting happenstance that occurs just recently, in fact, and it has a lot to do with the burning of Notre Dame. But what's interesting is that it wasn't just Notre Dame that got lit on fire. A particular mosque in Jerusalem, one of Islam's most holy sites. And this particular mosque was actually built in an area where Solomon actually had his horses at. And it's very near to the site where the original temple was built, particularly in the region known as the Mount. Now, not a lot of people know that, by the way, that at the same time that Notre Dame was on fire, this mosque conveniently was on fire too. So, to analyze some of the things that are taking place here, you have to know that certain politics, certain belief structures, and certain people are getting pretty desperate when it comes to spreading fear, when it comes to spreading distractions, and when it comes to spreading hatred. Apparently, someone's propaganda isn't too good. I guess a lot of people are starting to wake up to certain things or realize certain things. I wish it was a lot of people in terms of majority people and populists and things of this sort. But you never know, maybe one day. With that being stated, you guys ever heard the story of the Hunchback of Notre Dame? It's a horror story, really. It's based on a book. It was written many years ago. And it just pretty much has the same tale that you're probably familiar of. There's believed to be a monster that lives inside Notre Dame. And this monster was noted to being grotesque looking. He had a big giant eye and things of this sort. Similar to the Illuminati eye, you know. And he was very strong, very powerful. You know, he was able to throw around 4 or 5 men at a time and things of the sort. And, you know, he was misunderstood. He was like Frankenstein, you know. A girl ends up falling in love with him and things of this sort. She's just so sad at the way everyone treats this monster. You know, you should be more understanding, you know, things of that sort. Now, the book is actually far more graphic than the Disney movie. You know, the book actually shows this entity as being very vicious, very evil, but with the intent of that he does these evil things because mankind is just very, very evil. That mankind is discriminate. Mankind is prejudiced. Mankind is just so hateful all the time that monsters like these are the reasons why they exist and things of that sort. Now, what's interesting about that tale, it is really a tale about the demonic. It is a tale about demons having a propaganda of their own. A propaganda that entails that they hate humanity for all the things that God decided to forgive them for and give his blood for. In fact, God died for the sins of humanity to show forth that real love can take place among them. But you see, that lesson is not taught as the cure for humanity. What's taught as the cure for humanity is some monsters living in some places where gargoyles of statues can be all around this place, and we are supposed to consider this place a holy relic building, a symbol of Christianity in Europe, and things of that sort, And we never ever understand the fact that there are certain signs that accompany certain actions that we really need to understand indeed. The hunchback is on fire. It's burning. It's burning for every lie, for every act of pedophile activity, for every act of greed, for every act of selfishness, for every act of discriminating attitudes in their politics, for every act of New Age lies and New Age deception. Even acts from the past, like inquisitions, burning people at the stake right before Sunday Mass, things of the sort. A lot of that activity actually took place in France. This isn't to bash French people, by the way. It's just to say every government has a dark history, and every government likes to continue it. While the people just sit back and they feed on the fodder. They feed on the situation. And whichever way they go is where they're going to go. With that being stated, to understand why this church is on fire, it's probably not even the question to what we should really look into. Is the fire still going? Did they put it out? Who knows? I think it's out now. But either way, it's interesting that such a relic, such a building with a particular creepy history caught on fire. And at the same time, while that's going on, a mosque just catches on fire too. But you know what I'm grateful for? Most of the people of the world, they didn't care enough to be so hateful about the fact that maybe they were doing these fires to see if people would choose to be angry at which side. Are you internally angry that the mosque is on fire? Do you think Christians set it on fire? Maybe that's what certain Muslim leaders were dying to tell you. But then they figured out, no one's paying attention. Oops. Or maybe Notre Dame. Maybe they were thinking, maybe we can blame this fire on some Muslims. The Muslims burnt our church. But then again, they were probably also thinking, it may not be too popular with that right now. Not many people are paying attention. I think we didn't do this right. So, what am I saying there? I actually believe that both of these fires, I don't believe they were coincidence. I just don't believe that they just happened out of nowhere. And many people will say that it did, this is why it caught on fire. It was unfortunate, but the real truth of the matter is that the media will downplay it. Other people will downplay it. They won't tell you that they're using these fires as a way to experiment on the heartstrings of the people. They're just going to tell you they're on fire. Now, here's this interesting part about it. It is true that these buildings caught on fire. And we can look at it any way you like. We can assume that people who run these buildings had something to do with setting it on fire. Or we can believe that people who just didn't like the religious faith that those buildings represented, the religions of the world, that they didn't like it, so they set it on fire. Or we can believe that, it just set fire by itself. Maybe there was just a faulty gas line. Maybe too much sun just lit on one area. Maybe it was an accident. And we can go ahead and believe that too. And it's totally up to you which one you want to believe, because whichever one you choose, at the end of the day, where it really matters, meaning before God and the truth, doesn't matter why they were on fire. In fact, it would probably be a good sign to realize that one day God is going to destroy every single institution, every single pagan doctrine, and every single religious faith that set itself up against the truth. At the end of the day, God calls himself an all-consuming fire. And he has told his apostles that one day he will annihilate this world. He will annihilate it with all of its institutions, with all of its nations, and with all of their ideas, and with all of their horrible rhetoric, and their unreasonable attitudes, and their unmitigated unbelief in God. One day, God will make sure that all his people are accounted for. And when that future day comes, and everybody is ready to go, meaning it's all been set, it's all been analyzed, salvation has reached the number to whom it is given. And then goodbye. You can call this a burning delete indeed, one that you will not be able to reprogram or save. So, the way I look at it is this. An institution that represented another institution that represented various other institutions rather calls itself Orthodox, Unorthodox, Catholic, Traditional, whichever one you want to really analyze it. All I know is that this was a church building as it was supposed to be. This cathedral had demon statues all over the roof. The gargoyles. Gargoyles are believed to be the children of the fallen angels. They are the demons of old and things of the sort. Another Nephilim species that people were familiar with. This thing has quite a history indeed when it comes to getting people to sell their souls to Satan. And apparently its church, a Christian traditional building has been set on fire. A building that represents a doctrine that's an affront to what the truth of the Bible actually is. You know what I think? I think it was God's business to allow certain things to happen, no matter how they happen, to show forth a sign. If this fire was done because people want to cause division among people, which is most likely why the fire was raging, considering the fact that while this fire is raging, there's a fire at this mosque, which is well known. It's considered to either be the second or third most holiest site to the Muslims, compared to Mecca and things like that. But either way, when that building's on fire, we're supposed to think that there should be no divisional thing happening here. I mean, it's not like, these things happen all the time, But the truth is, they really don't happen all the time like that. It seems to be well orchestrated. But for that, you see, this is the reason why the world has to go. You see, when God talks about the fact that he has condemned this world, but yet saved his people, save the world is to save the people out of the world who had to be died for, meaning Jesus died for them while they were in the world. With that understanding, God doesn't want the world. God has been reaching the people, using what he called the awakening, this age right now. And he'll use whatever he's going to use down the future as well. Much of that described in Revelation. When we talk about these buildings burning down, you can reflect on the fact they are burning down because it is a reflection to the one who's in disapproval of them. God does not like people using his name to initialize a new world order and to promote demons and to protect pedophiles and to protect bankers and world institutions who make up just less than 1% of the population, but is dominating and dictating the world, even setting up depopulation agendas and things of that matter. God does not like ugly. God does not like when sinners think that they can be so holy that they can use his name and do evil things to people. And then drive around in bulletproof casings, hoping nobody won't shoot you for the horrible things they know about you. God does not like it when a religion started by a pedophile who married a 9-year-old girl who runs around chopping people's heads off based on doctrine he created in a cave that was noted for being inhabited by demons. And then somehow this guy gets to start this religion, and so many nations around the earth want to build statues and mosques and holy sites to him and not even do any research regarding it. So that mosque was set on fire, that mosque that represented that faith. Oh, that cathedral was set on fire that represented that kind of faith. False Christianity and a false religion, and both of their main buildings were on fire at the same time. Wow. I guess I'm supposed to think that the world is horrible. It's a bad world. People are bad. They need to shape up and realize and start loving each other. I mean, they should be like that guy who was just crying his eyeballs out when the new Star Wars movie came out. You know, he got 500,000 views, just bawling and bawling. Grown man, bawling like a 6-year-old girl. I mean, the world needs to be more like that, right? And maybe we wouldn't have that many fires, or maybe no fires anymore, right? Wrong. Very wrong. You see, all of this is just a big, massive waste of distraction fodder. Distraction fodder fed to you with some spaghetti and meatballs on it. Some heavy pasta. Throw some cheese on that. You know, let's get some wine. Let's hook that table up. Eat it. Eat it until you can't eat it no more. Until you're stuffed and your stomach just can't take it. And then, when you're about to basically choke on all of that food that you shove down your throat, your eyes can realize just how wrong you have been about yourself and your whole entire disposition on life when it came to trying to better yourself and learn the truth and separate yourself from the monotony, from the division, from the politics and the lies and the protests of this world, which isn't based on reality. Do you think that the truth of the Bible, the truth of the way from the beginning, is the number one priority for people who run this institution of Notre Dame? Do you think the truth from the beginning is the number one priority that the people have who run the mosque, things of this sort? In fact, so many things I just said in this video, if I said it in Saudi Arabia or some of these other peace-loving Muslim countries, my head would be flopped off. In fact, if I was to say this at a time in Europe when dominance of the Inquisition was running, I would have been burned at the stake by people who said they were Christians. We love Jesus. Burn this heretic. See, the history speaks for itself. You know, it speaks for itself indeed. You see, right there in front of that Notre Dame church, you know what they used to do, right? They used to set people on fire. You know, they were charged with false Christianity. You know, they represented Christianity outside the Catholic Church. They basically said the Virgin Mary wasn't a goddess and we shouldn't be acknowledging her. She shouldn't be mentioned in our prayers. And then they got tied up and strapped to a pole and they were burned alive for telling people what the Bible actually taught. Or they caught you for witchcraft. If they thought you were a werewolf, maybe you're into a vampirism occult, maybe you're into that weird stuff. You're getting burned at the stake too, by the way. Yes, this is what they did. They did all these things right there in the name of Christianity, and the Bible didn't support any of it. And then, of course, you got Islam, you know, named after the mother goddess, but let's not talk about that, right? See, so many of these things is interesting. When people want to worship another religion, you know, the truth is I'm not mad at you. You know, I don't hate you. If you're a Muslim, I don't want to burn your house down. If you're a Muslim, I don't want to even burn your place of worship down. If you're a Muslim, I don't care much either way, to tell you the truth. Go, get a job, work, eat at the same restaurant, knock yourself out if you like. See, I don't have any hatred toward any Muslims. Don't have any hatred toward Catholics either, or the Orthodox belief either, or any of that. You know, you want to go to Mass, knock yourself out. I don't want to burn down your parish because you're going to a Mass. I don't want to burn your cathedral down because you got ugly gargoyle statues and demonic images all painted up on there, you know. I don't want to do that. You know, I believe what God tells me. Do unto others as you'd want done unto yourself. So you know what that is? That's liberty, by the way. I have to let you be at liberty to exist. Make your own choices. As long as your choices aren't murdering people, destroying people, and wrecking other people's families. You know, like what's happening to Christians in America, Christians in China, Christians in Europe, Christians in Africa, Christians in South America, real Christians around the world. You think that kind of respect was shown for us when they can't wait to find out where we're worshiping, so perhaps they can burn that building down, or they could cause division in that group, or they could spread some lies and rumors and affairs and hatred and spread some awful things into that group, sending infiltrators and posers and invaders to come and wreck these people, maybe even get them murdered, maybe get them fired, maybe get them homeless, maybe get possession of their things and destroy them and think you're right when you do it. You think that kind of thing was happening to Christians, and it was all of a sudden on the 7 o'clock news, and ABC and CBS and NBC and CNN ran 24-hour coverage on it? Well, no. In fact, according to them, they didn't know about it. That's kind of funny. A lot of people reported it to them, gave them evidence on it, and they don't want to touch it. But when some massive cathedral that's known as a historical landmark gets on fire, suddenly that's so important that all of us need to understand other things too. Because while they're showing you the fire, they're definitely going to preach to you some propaganda along with it. And that's the most important part. You need the image to sell the message. And that's what it is at the end of the day. And then, when they were showing footage on the mosque, and the mosque didn't get a whole lot of footage in the West, but people who were Islam, an Islam nation, they were very interested in that. Hey, something happened to one of our holy mosques. Hey, who burned that? What's going on? They're not happy about it either. But of course, you know what they're going to run with, right? Bad Christians, racist people, sovereign people, don't like them. Got to get rid of them. We got to totally, because they're going to kill all Muslims. But of course, they're running with a similar thing over there as well. Hey, Christians, you got to get ready, because these Muslims are going to kill all of you. But you know, the people are just being set up by their own politicians at the end of the day. They actually are. You know, French people are being set up by French politicians. American people are being set up by American politicians. Oh yeah, Arab people are being set up by their own politicians. I mean, it's their politicians. And you know, they're not at conflict with each other, people. No, that's just the show. You know, that's just the program for television. Politics is just a lot like professional wrestling. You study that, then you just learn politicians. Oh, it's all a show, people. It's a show indeed. You see, these people know each other. They come from the same world. They sit at the same table, eating very overexpensive food, wearing overexpensive clothes, with overexpensive jewels on them. And they're just sitting around talking about how to screw with all of you. You know, they tell you worship an object, revere an object. An object represents the pride of your nationality, the pride of your beliefs. But who wrote that script? They did. And people believe it. They believe it. Every day, they're believing it. And then when something lights on fire, they suddenly think, man, we're going to have to take care of that. We're not going to ask questions about what really happened and why it happened and what are they trying to force us to do when it happens. No, I mean, a lot of people, they're just going to jump on it. They're going to leap on it. They're going to leap blindly. They're not going to ask, you know, hey, how high am I? Or how deep is that? You know? No, they just jump. You know? Hurting themselves and others all the way down. So, understand, did a major popular landmark mosque burn on fire? Did the mound blow up with a nuclear bomb? You know, in Notre Dame, did it get swallowed by a black hole portal from the cosmos and things of the sort? Well, the way I see it is, God has condemned this world. We shouldn't care every single time something in this world is on fire or something in this world happens, especially if it's causing you to hate another group of people or causing you to have violence, to have anonymity toward other people, especially out of nowhere, especially for no reason, especially when you were just minding your own business, paying your bills and leading your own life, and then bam, a fire happens and they're expecting you to do something about it. that's when you should really put on what's called that red light, and not the kind of light they want, but that red light in traffic that says stop for a second. Just stop, because there's oncoming traffic. And if you don't stop, you're going to get hit by it. Because understand the reality of it. God has nothing to do with this world. The world is foolishness in God's sight. Yeah, God controls the world, but he allows it to do all of these horrible things to condemn themselves because it's already been judged. It's already been written off. The prophecy states evil will continue until the final day. And all of that, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very evil. And evil has no place in eternity. Evil has no place in heaven. Evil will be incinerated. It will be burned with a fire that cannot be quenched, cannot be stopped, and it will consume all that it sees. Join me in a prayer. Lord Jesus Christ, I pray, Lord, to rebuke the spirit of false religions, propaganda, false flags, and intimidation and inspiration to do wrong from our lives. Rebuke idolatry, rebuke sin, and rebuke division and hatred from our lives. Forgive us of our sins as we forgive those who have sinned against us. Watch over all the subscribers and all the people here. Watch over their families and their children. And please protect all Christians. And please help those who are not Christians to become true Christians. In Jesus Christ's name, amen. If you'd like to donate to Shield of the Sun, please go to www.gofundme.com. There, you will find a page called Michael Herr Books and Education. In fact, you can click the link below in the description box, which will take you there directly, or you can send me something in the mail, but the address will be in the description box below. I want to say God bless you, and I will see you soon.
From London to Taiwan, I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.